والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين أما بعد. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. So before I get into seeking knowledge and how it is an absolute must to do so, and how and why seeking knowledge is so important, and how and why seeking knowledge is so virtuous, so fantastic, so awesome, to seek knowledge of the deen, why it's such a great thing. And before we speak on some of the principles and some of the practical tips, hacks, tools, cheats, etc., of successfully seeking what to do, how to do it, when to do it, what to learn, when to learn, so on and so forth. And of course, before we speak on the don'ts of seeking knowledge, I want to talk about something which isn't directly connected to seeking knowledge, but at the same time it is. And that is the important topic of human behavior. Human behavior. The study of the behavior of the human being, which is also known as psychology. The study of the human being's brain and his body, why, how, and when he does or doesn't do things. Alright? Very important. Of course, there are people on both sides of the extreme. From the Islamic prism, we're speaking. Psychology has nothing to do with Islam. Islam has nothing to do with psychology. There's no such thing. You're going through this problem, this sin, this issue. Just read, just study, talk to the Imam, and then that's it. And then there are those on the other side of the extreme, in which everything is psychology. And there's no spiritual, there's no ruqya, there's everything is psychology. There's no such thing as sihr or jinn possession. There's no punishment for it. Everything is human behavior, human behavior, human behavior. And then there are a few people who are in the middle, who understand that each and every field or science, there are many Islamic parallels in medicine. Many Islamic parallels, Islamic teachings in engineering, and the arts. And let's go, no. What do you want to talk about? Everything in this room. The structure, the colors, the smell, the aromas, the tea we're drinking, is the foundation in the Quran. Explicit or explicit, one of the two, that's fact. Let alone different sciences that non-Muslims took directly from the Muslims and stole and whitewashed, color washed, bleached, sanitized, and claimed it for their own. That's a fact. So many Muslims, unfortunately, they have an extreme concern in psychology. Marital care. You can't go to the Imam of the masjid because he isn't a professional therapist. Because he doesn't have these pieces of paper on the wall, these signs that he studies, so therefore he can't help. You have to go to a professional psychologist, so on and so forth, right? Etc. My son is having these bad dreams, these nightmares. He doesn't pray. He's being extremely disrespectful. He smells very bad. He doesn't want to shower. He's acting really funny. I think it's a jinn has possessed my son. No such thing as jinn possession. It's schizophrenia. Go see a psychologist, take this medicine, etc. There are many examples of this extreme. So with regards to the best, is there a such thing called Islamic psychology? And if there is, how important is it? Many people, I'm telling you from experience, they think, Abu Hudayfa, that when it comes to seeking knowledge and studying and the scholars of Islam, is that all of the rulings and the speech of psychology are now turned off. There's no psychology in seeking knowledge. And the scholars, the teachers, the imams, they aren't human beings. And they don't have the ups and the downs of the rest of the what? Of the human beings. That's a widespread fallacy. Because a person has the knowledge, he's no longer a human. And if he's no longer a human, then he isn't a beneficiary or victim of psychology. It's different. And that's a trick of the shaitan. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He tells us about the tricks of the shaitan. Ya Bani Adam, O sons of Adam, Allah warns, calls out, La yaftinannakum ash-shaytan. Kama akhraj abawaykum min al-jannati. Don't be a victim like your forefathers were victimized by shaitan. Don't allow him to put you through a trial and from that is thinking that there's no involvement or attachment of human behavior when it comes to ilm and da'wah. The people are above and beyond the human behavior. That's wrong. Alright, so we're here to talk about seeking ilm, not psychology, not human behavior. What are some of the most common, good or bad, human emotions or human behaviors or behavioral patterns? Quickly, from you guys. Love. Happiness. Fear. Sadness. Hate. Pride. Excitement. Depression. Very good. Very common, especially in 2024. That's why many of our Muslim youth are on drugs, on pills, heavy pills, because of their depression. Many of them make zina, drink, smoke, join a gang, because they're depressed and they don't know it, they don't realize it until it's what? Too late. Dang. All this time I've been doing this and that because of what happened to me, what I witnessed, what I didn't have, what I always, etc. That's a huge, huge problem. And you realize that you're suffering a disease after it's too late to come out. What I quote to eat that. Tell what else? Any other emotions, patterns, behaviors? Jealousy. Very common. What else? Envy. And when we talk about ilm, we talk about knowledge. Don't think that the people of knowledge, those who learn it and teach it, are free and protected from jealousy. Don't think that. They're still human beings. Shaitan still has them in his crosshairs. They're targets. Anything else? Anxiety. Very good. I'm shaky. I'm jittery. I don't know what's going to happen. SubhanAllah. I'm thinking. I'm fearing. Give the khutbah this week. I'm anxious. I'm going to make a mistake even though I memorized the Quran. I know the qira'at. The people are not going to like it. Or maybe I'm going to show off. Or. That's what? It's anxiety. And a panic attack. Right? You do the khutbah. And you become so nervous. You have the birds in your stomach. Right? The first time you're so nervous you forget everything. Or, unfortunately, this is a benefit and a reminder for future public speakers, for the Muslims. If you're nervous, if you're a little scared, if it's your first time or first couple of times speaking, the worst thing you can do is speak with papers in your hand. Never speak with papers. That's, you got it down packed. And it's something specific that you want to read word for word. But if you're scared and jittery, you having those papers and index card, disaster. And obviously much can be said with regards to speaking with paper or reading from something, so on and so forth. So if I'm reading, I'm going to versus you keeping everybody's attention by just talking to them. And never ever underestimate the power of just talking to people. What you say to somebody, talk to somebody can have an impact than you trying to read something perfect from an index card. But we're not here to what? Talk about that. That's a long discussion. Nice. Right? Okay. Anything else besides anxiety? Anger. Very good. What else?
Ego.
Very, very good. We're getting close now. Jealousy, anger, anxiety, ego, right? We're getting closer now. Laziness. You're lazy because of such and such, such and such, such and such. As an example. Anything else? Being upset. Being mad all the time. Being self-envy. Mine. Gimme. Get your own. I had to work for it.
Brother said obsessed.
Obsession. Very, very important. You're obsessed with the thing. You can't put it down. You have a compulsive disorder. It's hard to stop. It's impossible to stop. Psychology. Anything else, guys? Quitting. Self-defeatism. Shooting yourself in the foot. Starting in what? Stopping. Starting and stopping. Class, book, sheikh, fulan, halaq. Starting, stopping. Starting, stopping. Something is wrong with your what? Something is off. Something else that I'm looking for. One word. Procrastination. I'm going to do it tomorrow, inshallah. I'm going to study tomorrow, inshallah. I'm going to memorize it tomorrow, inshallah. When are you going to do the khutbah? The masjid needs you, inshallah. Inshallah. Next week. When I'm better, when I study, when I come back. And that but never comes along with style. What else? Looking down on others. Even if you don't say it with your tongue. But you feel opinion of others. How you feel about people. How you think about people. Superiority or inferiority complex. I'm inherently better than you. You're inherently better than me. Alright, anything else? Greed. A hole in your stomach. Don't think that people of knowledge are free from that. That's a disease. What else? I'm looking for one word. I can't give you that much of a clue. Good shot though. Anybody else? Greed, we mentioned greed.
Evil.
Evil, it's general. Go ahead. Selfish, we mentioned selfish. Lustful. That's not what we're looking for, but that's very important. What it will do to your mind and your body, and what it will lead you to. Respect. Too respectful. Disrespectful, which comes from emotions, such as pride. Alright, anything else? Say that again?
Conclusion without thinking.
Come into a conclusion just based on what you see.
Right.
Alright, that's very good. There's something else though, guys. Come on, everybody participate. Gluttony, like being lustful, never getting enough, being greedy. Very good word. MashaAllah. Ignorance. Alright, guys, so the name of the game, the word that I'm looking for is insecurity. Insecurity. It's a major discussion with regards to human behavior. Inferiority and superiority complex. I'm insecure. Insecure is one of the most damaging emotions or mental states to be in. Muslim and non-Muslim alike. And it's even more damaging when it comes to seeking what? Knowledge. Now, the generations between the Muslims, those who migrated to this country versus those who are descendants of migrants, those who speak English with an accent from overseas versus those who speak English with no accent, those who accepted Islam in the 70s and 60s versus those who were born with the silver spoon of Islam in their mouths. You were raised from day one upon Islam. You're third generation. You're my grandson. You have a head start with Islam. And there's a disconnection between the older and the younger. The east and the west. The father and the mother, son, mother, daughter. And of course, when we talk about knowledge, there's insecurity with regard to the teacher and the pupil, the student. I want to teach you, I want you to do good, but what? Not what?
Better. Not better than that.
Don't outshine the master. Do good, but don't, that qira'ah is a little, tone it down. I want you to have good tajweed, but not loud. You can't leave Tarawih and say, whoa, what was that? Right? I don't want you to outshine me. I don't want it to be proven that you work harder or you're more talented, etc. And this is ruinous to seeking knowledge. And subhanAllah, how the shaitan tricks you is that if you're my student and you sound really, 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 really good and you're shining, no matter how much you shine, that shine has to go back and come back to who?
Allah.
Of course, Allah. But it's going to go back to who? The teacher. So in reality, him doing well is what?
You doing well.
That's my day. That's a receipt. Right? No pride, but I raised him. I took the time. I did him. I can feel proud. I can feel happy. MashaAllah, my spirit is good. Now pay attention, because the shaitan is very crafty. I want you to do good, but I don't want you to what? No, not exceed. And the equaler, if that's a word, the equaler you get to me, the more what I get. Now I'm already insecure. I get nervous. And we mentioned anxious. Wait a second, getting a little what? Getting a little close. Right. He started, people say we want him to recite Malish Yashem. Right. They went to me to Tarawih tonight.
Not you.
Alright? So get a little close now. Don't get a little anxious. And then of course, there comes the envy, which none of you got mentioned. You mentioned jealousy, but you didn't mention envy, which there is the same difference. There's a give and a take between the two terms. Jealousy versus envy. Give or take, same difference. Pay attention now. Getting anxious. I'm starting to get a little jealous, right? And then if you go from 50-50 to now what?
60.
That's a problem. But in reality, the pupil accepting the teacher is something that the teacher should what? Take pride in. That's a delay, hard work, and it's a small piece of your reward. Tilka, ajilu, bushra al-mu'min. That's the huwa bushra fil hayati dunya fil akhirah. That is in the beginning. The Prophet tells us about a good dream that the believer sees, or someone else sees it for you. Yeah, Sheikh, I had a dream last night. I saw you were such and such, such and such, such and such. It's a little bit of the reward. وَإِنَّمَا تُوَفَّوْنَ أُجُورَكُمْ. Allah says you will only be given these in full in the hereafter, on the day of judgment. In the grave, you're going to be given what?
Portion.
A little bit. In the dunya, you're going to be given what?
Portion.
A little bit, but not all of it. So insecurity is a main problem in seeking knowledge. When the pupil outshines the teacher, grows above and beyond the teacher. Father and son relationship. Your son is now, he doesn't want your help. He doesn't need your help. He's challenging you on everything. He's getting smart at that. You say, okay, all right, big guy, you got it. Even if he's not being disrespectful, he challenges you. You sure about that, Abby? He fact checks you. And you get a little what? Insecure. Versus you saying, alhamdulillah, at least I taught him how to think. At least I didn't raise a sucker. I didn't raise a chump. I raised a boy with some type of what? Courage, manhood. Even if we differ. But at least I know he's not a yes man. But the shaitan doesn't what? It don't present that to you. Everybody heard this or not? So with that being said, I want to share a personal experience of my own. Of course, insecurity is a long discussion. My personal insecurities, everyone has them. Some of us have more than others. Some of the things that I saw growing up, some of the things I saw studying and teaching over the years, some of the things that I see to this very day. Myself, and I'm not trying to praise myself, I'm just trying to be honest. I try my best to always work on that when it comes to aim. And always keeping the aim professional. And always keeping the knowledge to be sacred. It isn't about me, and it isn't about you. This knowledge is off limits. And the knowledge of Islam, the Quran and Sunnah, is not to be a plaything of men. The dawah to Islam is not supposed to be desecrated by the desires of men. What they want and how they feel. So alhamdulillah, over the years, I've been teaching, I've been studying, and Allah has blessed me, allowed me, or at least tested me, to come across many brothers and sisters of all different ages and all different races. Different parts of the world and different genders, men and women. It's a fact. Americans, Somalis, this country, that country, etc. So when I have a student for some time, and they study for a while, remain consistent, and they start to bloom, and they start to blossom, it's a real feeling. But the feeling is even better. The fruit is sweeter when the tables are now turned and roles are reversed. And which one of the students brings me a benefit and gives me a benefit, shows me something, teaches me something, passes on something to me that I didn't know. That's a very good feeling. But if you are careful, you can become a little what? Insecure. You have to work on yourself. You have to fight yourself if you're seeking knowledge and if you're involved in it. And never think that the shaitan is going to leave you alone. Never think you're exempt from shaitan's whisperings just because you're an alim or an imam. Don't forget this word, Yaqi. Shaitan is after you. So, alhamdulillah, I'm going to give a shout out to one of my students. His name is Abdul Raqib. He's a resident, or was a resident of New York City. He's originally from Guyana. And he's currently studying in Egypt, alhamdulillah. And I can take pride on this day and many things about him. If he's watching or if he's going to watch, And from that, the beautiful, sweet feeling is that when he gives me books. He gives me books. I was overseas, I was in Egypt, I brought this book back for you, Sheikh. And it's even sweeter when he gives me a book or gave me a book that I was unaware of. I was ignorant of. I thought I had the collection, I thought I bought this. Whoa, I never even knew about that. So your student now I'm giving what? Back to you. It's a good feeling. From those gifts, from those books I was unaware of, even though I was very aware of the author and have many of the author's books, is what I want to share with you guys today. And it's a book which is called Ma'alim Irshadiyya Lisina'ati Talib al-Ilm بقلم Muhammad Awama. The book is called Ma'alim Irshadiyya. Ma'alim Irshadiyya, signposts, mile markers, roadmap indicators, directional tools for constructing the student of knowledge, for making and producing a real what? Student of knowledge, a real student of knowledge. Building, raising, and nurturing a real student of knowledge. The author of the book is Muhammad Awama. Several of his books that I have, I've read, I've studied, benefited from. Now, in this book, he talks about the different do's and don'ts, the different pitfalls. He mentions the different stories, the different narrations of the ulama of the past, how they traveled, how they dealt with their teachers, what did they do with their family members, how they saw the means of living, etc., etc., etc. So it's a very interesting book, right? And what I want to share with you guys is a piece of advice or a benefit, a small story, which will show and which will prove and which will demonstrate the virtue and the importance of knowledge. And why knowledge is so valuable, and why it is so awesome, and why it is of so much of a necessity for our communities. And of all of the problems that we suffer from, and we face here in Syracuse, and other parts of the United States, other part of New York State, other parts of the world, the very first step, the very first point is what? Is ilm. Ilm isn't the only cure for problems, but it is the what? Step. And that is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He called the era in which the Prophet ﷺ, his family, his tribe, his kin, they lived and died. And there were many things wrong with that era, many things wrong with their society. And Allah gave it one general title, which was what? Jahiliyyah. So was ignorance the only thing that they suffered from? No. There was murder, there was prostitution, mistreatment of people. There were so many different areas of society. They were being exploited, they exploited others. But Allah chose to call it what? Jahiliyyah. Think about it. You ever think about that? The time of ignorance. Allah doesn't call it the time of murder, the time of shirk, He doesn't call it. He doesn't call it the time of polytheism. But He only calls it what? Jahiliyyah. I.e., the biggest problem, the greatest problem that they suffer from was what? Was ignorance. Can we agree on this or not? No. Everybody agree? No. Alright, so what was the first cure? What was the first pill? What was the first surgery? What was the first antidote that they were given to cure? La Iqra. Read. Educate yourself. Even though there's shirk. Even though there's this. Even though there's that. Even though there's so many social problems I have. But the first step is what? Educating yourself. Right? The history of this country. Systematic racism. Religious racism. Institutional racism. There were many tools that they had to build and to struggle the racism that they wanted to keep and uphold in this country. What was this tool? Nope. What was the strongest, most powerful tool that they had? Huh? Ban reading. If you were caught reading, ultimate punishment. There's no way that you can educate yourself. And of course, that was how many years ago in America? That's done and over with, right? No, it's not done. It's not done. We still ban you from learning and seeking knowledge. We still keep you ignorant. Now with a whip and this and that, but reading and studying this, corny, boring. Nobody wants to be the nerd in the class. You're going to make fun of them, beat them up, bully them, so on and so forth. Everybody wants to be handsome, pretty, strong, fast, fly, this and that. So in reality, they can't physically bar you from reading, but they did metaphysically what? Barred you from reading. How many are our kids in the library versus the basketball court? It's a serious question. You go to the, how many youth you going to find in the mall? On your phone, the 11 hours of screen time, that's light work. 12 hours, 13 hours. Never. How many books you reading? How many articles you reading online? For argument's sake, 11 hours. How often? You barely reading in the comments. So reading is looked down upon, it's boring, it's corny. And the only time it's good to be smart if it's for a worldly advantage. You go to the corny nerd in class, yo, how many cheated in the exam? Is this not the case? Or you hire somebody, you involve in criminal activities, you get a what? Someone to hack into the system. The only value of knowledge is to do some type of evil. But to be smart, to be actual is what? It's looked down upon. Is this not the case? So what has really changed? Alright. So, the author of the book, he says here, and that's a very long discussion. Page 169, he says, وَمِنْ مُصَايَاهُمْ حَيْثُمَا كُنْتَ فَكُنْ قُرْبَ فَقِيهٍ وَلِهَذِهِ الْوَصِيَّةِ قِصَّةٌ نُذِكُرُهَا وإن لم تكن من أصل موضوعنا جاء في التاريخ الكبير لابن أبي خيثمة رحمه الله ما نصه قال عبد الله بن أبي موسى التستري قيل لي حيثما كنت فكن قرب فقيه قال فأتيت بيروت إلى الأوزاعي فبينما أنا عنده إذ سألني عن أمري فأخبره قال وكان مجوسيا ثم أسلم فقال لي أبن قلت نعم تركته بالعراق مجوسي قال فهل لك أن ترجع لعل الله يهديه على يديك لعل الله أن يهديه على يديك قلت تراني ذاك قال نعم فأتيت أبي فوجدته مريضا فقال لي يا بني أي شيء أنت عليه فأخبرته أني أسلمت فقال لي فاعرض علي دينك فأخبرته بالإسلام وأهله قال فإني أشهد أني قد أسلمت قال فمات في مرضه ذلك فدفنته ورجعت إلى الأولي فأخبرته قال المؤلف فانظر أثري حيثما كنت فكن قرب فقيه. أجمل هذه القصة. The author, he says, listen carefully guys, from that which proves why we need to seek knowledge, why we have to seek knowledge, why we seek knowledge, why knowledge is the best thing for you young guys to be busy with, and you young sisters as well. From the advice of the scholar of the past, the previous ulama who succeeded, and they were men or women, and you can also succeed because you're a man or woman. From their advices, wherever you are, be near a learned person. Wherever you go, whatever you do in life, be in the proximity of a scholar. حيثما كنت فكن قرب فقيه. Wherever you go, keep somebody learned near you and next to you. I'm close friends with the imam of the masjid. I'm not close friends, but friends. I'm not as a friend, but I'm his associate. I'm not his associate, but he knows me. He's seen me. I can call him. I can text him. I can reach out. Sheikh, I got a question. I need your help. I need your advice. Sheikh, I would like for you to honor me. Please visit me in my home. And of course, we're human beings. And we talk about psychology. Everybody is looking for something, a human being. And there's nothing wrong with killing birds with one stone. I want to give you food in my home, and at the same time, can you speak to my son? I want to show my son that he can be a scholar. He's young like you're young. He's from your race. Look, touch him, touch his hand. It's not a hologram, this is a human being. He's like you. You can be him when you grow up, etc., etc., etc. I want you to help me with my wife, etc. be in the proximity of someone who's learned. That is from the golden advice of the scholars of the author. He says there's a story behind this statement. And that story is mentioned by Ibn Abi Khaythama in a book which is called At-Tarikh al-Kabir, speaking about history and the narrators of hadith. It says that there was a man whose name was Abdullah ibn Abi Musa at-Tusta. Abdullah ibn Abi Musa from Tusta. Clearly, he says, it was once said to me, somebody told me, حَيْثُمَا كُنْتَ فَكُنْ قُرْبَ فَقِيهٍ. Wherever you go, wherever you are, be in a plenty of a scholar. Never be too far from someone who's learned. Now, فَأَتَيْتُ بَيْرُوتَ إِلَى الْأَوْزَاعِيِّ. He says that I went to Beirut to meet, to study, and to sit with the Imam of Sham at the time, who was Awza'i. Like Beirut, Lebanon today, the war, genocide, the fighting, and this and that. Beirut is a very old and ancient city. So he says, I went to Beirut to meet with the great master of the whole area, who was Awza'i, Imam Awza'i, rahimahullah ta'ala. So, بينما أنا عنده إذ سألني عن أمري. So I'm sitting with this great Imam, and he asked me not about knowledge. Listen carefully, guys. He didn't ask me about how much I know, what I memorized, what qira'at, what madhab. He didn't ask me about those things. He didn't ask me about fulan and fulan. No, what's your position? He didn't ask me about that. سألني عن أمري, يعني عن حياتي, عن قصتي. He asked me about my life. Where do you come from? Where are you from? Your tribe, your clan, your family, blah, 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 blah. How did you come? How did you make it to Beirut? Tell me, we're sitting around, we're drinking tea. Yeah, well, we start talking about the past. I accepted Islam when I was in prison. How did you go to Medina? Blah, 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 blah. Tell me about, let's discuss it. So, فأخبرته. So I told him where I came from, who I was, my story, my life story. وَكَانَ مَجُوسِيًّا. Okay? So Abdullah Nabi Musa Tustari, he wasn't born and raised Muslim. Rather, he used to be a Zoroastrian. He was a person who worships the fire and the aqidah of those people with regards to Zoroaster. Very known, Mesopotamia, Iran, etc. The history of those lands. He says, so I used to be a Majus. I wasn't a Christian. I wasn't a Jew. I wasn't born and raised Muslim. I wasn't an atheist, but I had a different religion, I had a different faith. And then I accepted Islam. فَقَالَ لِي Awza'i, because he has knowledge of the deen. And knowledge of the deen is superior, is excellent above all other things. And if you master the Quran, and if you master the Sunnah, it's nothing that you cannot master. And it's nothing that you cannot understand. That's a proven fact. His wisdom. Scholar sees things that the average person cannot see. Like any other field. A mechanic. You think that the car is fine? Mechanic, he does what? Just listens. Something's off with your alternator. Something is off with, this needs to be changed. It's not supposed to, no, it's good. Engine's not supposed to make that much noise. It's supposed to be a hum, a purr, it's not supposed to be a roar. A doctor, you feel fine, he looks in your eyes, you're sick. A chef, someone who's skilled and talented in the kitchen, they look at the dish, it's off, it's dry. What do you mean? I can look at the steak and it's overcooked. It's a fact. What happened then? And this goes what? On and on. A professional painter, he can look at the wall and say that's a horrible job. Somebody butchered that. Look at it. It looks fine to me. Nah. So an expert in any field, he sees things that non-experts what? Don't see. Ask critical questions. So Awza'i, he asked me, he says, do you have a father? Is your father alive? Is he dead? Was he killed in the war? Did he die? Is your family still living? Yes, my father's alive. تركته بالعراق Majusi. Al-Iraq, I'm in Sham. He's still a Majusi. He's still on the deen of Zoroaster. He isn't a Muslim yet. He says, well, how about you go back to Iraq? Just think about how far is out of Syria. Nowadays, it's a distance. And back in the day, on foot, right? A donkey, a mule, a camel, a horse. How dangerous, how perilous was it to travel from one to another? He says, I want you to go back to Iraq. leave me. The best imam in the area, leave me. Stop seeking knowledge of me, go back. He says, maybe Allah will guide him to Islam through you. Perhaps, just maybe, I got a feeling, I got intuition, a sixth sense. He says, something is telling me that you would be good to give your father dawah. He sat with the man. He conversed with the man. He ate, they talked, and he could recognize and see that there was goodness in the young man. And that he had some type of intelligence, he had, some positivity. And perhaps your father, you'll soften his heart by him seeing his strong, intelligent, successful son. Once again, avoiding the what? Insecurities. He then states, you really think that? He asked him, man, you really think I should leave? Awza'i qala na'am. He said, yes. Go to Iraq and give your father dawah. فَأَتَيْتُ أَبِي وَوَجَدْتُهُ مَرِيضًا. Upon returning to Iraq, my father was extremely ill. He's very sick. He wasn't just old. He wasn't just, he was on his last days, right? He was sick and he was ill. فَأَخْبَرْتُهُ أَنِّي أَوْ فَقَالَ يَا بُنَيَّ أَيُّ شَيْءٍ أَنْتَ عَلَيْهِ. He says, oh son, what have you done with yourself? What is this? Why are you dressed like this? Those are not clothes, or what are you doing in life? You're home from college. The first thing your mom and dad is going to ask you is, what are you doing with yourself? Your mom, they feed you, stuff you, you lost weight, you're not eating good, but the dad is going to what? What's up? I'm not going for the charade. What you doing with yourself? You hang with these people, what are you doing? So the father, he said, yeah, but you shaking that tali. What's up? What are you upon? What are you doing with your life? فَأَخْبَرْتُهُ أَنِّي أَسْلَمْتُ. I said, I've become a Muslim, father. I.e., I have forsaken your religion and the religion of your forefathers. I.e., if you want to simplify things, your deen makes no sense. The deen that you raised me upon and birthed me upon, the name that you gave me, false. I.e., you and your ancestors and ancestors were foolish and stupid. If you want to simplify it, that's this. That's why Quraysh refused to accept Prophet Muhammad because they said that you're disrespecting our Safaha. When they said that we're stupid and dumb, we worship idols all these years, we were misguided. They couldn't accept that. So I told him, I says, Father, I've become a Muslim. Alright, tell me about your religion. What's so special about being a Muslim? What's the difference between a Muslim and a Zoroastrian and so on and so forth? Listen carefully. He says, so I told him about Islam, and not just Islam, but I told him about the people of Islam. Allahu Akbar. Can we do that in 2024? I can tell you about the deen, what the Quran says, the Holy Quran, what Prophet Muhammad, PBUH said, but can I point to the Muslims with good examples? Always late, dirty, disrespectful, hate each other, racist, prejudice, mistreat their women, mistreat their kids, blah, 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 blah. Backwards. Muslims refuting each other, hating each other, killing each other. Can I honestly give a good example to, of course there's good, but I'm talking about the masses. He said, I told him about both my religion and the people, what? Of my religion. This is what they're like. This is what they do. This is what they don't do. These are their values. And if you went to them today, they would treat you in this manner. قال فإني أشهدك أني قد أسلمت. Yes, I want you to bear witness. I've accepted your deen. I've become a Muslim. I'm no longer upon the religion of our forefathers. قال فمات في مرضه ذلك. And he died shortly afterwards. That was deathbed. فدفنته. I buried him. I prayed upon him in Iraq. ورجعت إلى الأوزاعي فأخبرته. I returned to him and I told Awza'i, you are absolutely right. Thank you, Sheikh, for giving me that advice, for forcing me to go back. You were right. He accepted Islam, I gave him dawah. The author, he says, so look at the effect of that piece of advice. حيثما كنت فكن قرب فقيه. Wherever you may be in the close proximity of somebody learned. They're going to help you in your deen and in your what? Your dunya. You're going through marital problems. The person who has the knowledge is going to give you good advice, inshallah. You have a problem with an addiction, he's going to give you solid advice on working on that addiction. You're trying to succeed in school and sports. Through the Quran and Sunnah, how to win the game. That's a fact. You're either getting money and making money. Through the knowledge that Allah gave you through the Quran and Sunnah, He's going to tell you how to succeed in your worldly trade. Let alone in a spiritual quest. A very powerful statement and an even more powerful story. And think about the times that the Imam of the Masjid or your local scholar or the Sheikh overseas gave you some life-changing advice that stood with you for the rest of your life. Never search for the problems. And never overstress things, because there are enough problems and stress in life that's going to what? Come to you. That's something hopefully in the years to come you'll what? You'll cherish. And it'll help you in your deen and in your dunya. Never search for the problem. The problem's going to come. That being said, I think that the point is very clear concerning why knowledge is a must. Knowledge was the means behind that man's father being saved from the hellfire. And the intuition of a person who has ilm. To see things that the average person can't what? Can't see. This community, the imam or imams that you have here, the teachers that you have here, the Quran teachers, we should respect them. We should cherish them. We should value them. The brothers and the sisters who make it possible for these imams and shuyukh to work and to teach. We should also respect them as well. And we should take their advice, because they look at life through a different lens. And you can't see without the ilm. Inshallah, I think the point is more than proven. And of course, there's much that can be said concerning the ilm. Allah should knows best. Inshallah, we'll leave time now, if there's time, for the questions. Wallahu ta'ala a'lam. Jazakumullahu khairan for your attention and for your respect.
Almost time for the prayer, inshallah. So now we can go. If you want to make wudu, go make wudu. Now we're going to start the salah, inshallah. Like 7 minutes. Right after the salah. Inshallah, right after the salah, we're going to start the fundraiser for the masjid, inshallah. Then we're going to have the dinner. After we have the dinner, inshallah, we're going to have the QA session, inshallah, with the mufti, inshallah. Okay? Questions and sessions, inshallah. Yeah, any question, inshallah.